President Trump delivered a lengthy address to Congress last night, breaking records for the longest modern presidential address. Clocking in at 1 hour and 40 minutes, the speech was a marathon of pronouncements, defenses, and attacks. From the outset, the partisan nature of the address was clear, with sharp criticisms leveled against Democrats, and a dramatic moment that saw the ejection of Representative Al Green. Throughout the speech, President Trump remained focused on justifying the rapid-fire policy changes and executive actions that have come to define his administration. He addressed the recent imposition of tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, arguing that these measures were necessary to protect American interests. He also spoke at length about the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, claiming to be working towards a peaceful resolution despite escalating tensions. The overall tone of the address was defiant, with the president pushing back against criticism from both Democrats and members of his own party. He repeatedly touted the successes of his administration, highlighting a strong economy and low unemployment rates. However, he also acknowledged the challenges facing the nation, including the threat of terrorism and the ongoing opioid crisis. The president used his address to Congress as a platform to defend his administration's policies, often framing them as necessary and even courageous steps in the face of opposition. He argued that his decision to impose tariffs was driven by a desire to protect American jobs and industries from unfair trade practices. Trump also addressed the ongoing controversy surrounding his administration's handling of foreign aid, particularly in relation to Ukraine. He defended his decision to withhold military aid, claiming that it was necessary to ensure that American taxpayer dollars were being used responsibly and effectively. This justification comes on the heels of a Supreme Court ruling against the president's request to freeze foreign aid approved by Congress. He further argued that his administration's tough stance on immigration was necessary to secure the border and protect American citizens. He reiterated his commitment to building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, despite facing significant opposition from Democrats and even some Republicans. Throughout the speech, President Trump sought to portray himself as a strong and decisive leader, willing to make tough choices even in the face of criticism. He repeatedly emphasized the need for America to stand up for its own interests, even if it meant going against the wishes of its allies. The president's tariff strategy, a cornerstone of his economic policy, took center stage during his address. He defended his decision to impose a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada, with the exception of Canadian energy, which received a lower tariff. Additionally, he announced a 10% increase on existing tariffs on Chinese goods. These pronouncements were met with immediate and largely negative reactions from the markets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted by 1,300 points over the 2 days following the address, reflecting growing anxieties over the potential for a global trade war. The president, however, remained steadfast in his belief that the tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and force trading partners to negotiate fairer deals. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, a key figure in the administration's trade policy, attempted to soothe market fears, hinting at the possibility of compromise with Canada and Mexico. He suggested that the tariffs could be eased if those countries were willing to do more to address the issues raised by the president, such as border security and intellectual property theft. However, Ross also made it clear that the administration was not backing down from its position, stating that there would be no pause in the implementation of the tariffs. The president's aggressive trade policies have drawn criticism from both Democrats and Republicans, who argue that they are counterproductive and harmful to the American economy. They warn that the tariffs will ultimately lead to higher prices for consumers and businesses, and could spark a global trade war that would damage the global economy. President Trump addressed the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, acknowledging the receipt of a letter from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He reiterated his administration's commitment to working towards a peaceful resolution to the crisis, even as tensions continue to escalate between Ukraine and Russia. This comes amid reports that the U.S. has paused intelligence support and weapons shipments to Ukraine following a clash between Trump and Zelensky. The situation in Ukraine remains precarious, with Russia launching overnight drone and missile strikes across the country, resulting in casualties and damage. While the Kremlin has welcomed Zelensky's expressed willingness to negotiate, they have also highlighted legal barriers that stand in the way of a swift resolution. The president's address did little to quell concerns about the U.S.'s role in the conflict. Critics argue that his decision to withhold military aid to Ukraine has emboldened Russia and weakened the U.S.'s standing on the world stage. They also point to the president's seemingly warm relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin as evidence that he is not committed to defending U.S. interests in the region. The situation in Ukraine represents a complex and volatile foreign policy challenge for the Trump administration. The president's address offered little in the way of concrete solutions, leaving many wondering how he intends to navigate this crisis and what the implications will be for the future of U.S.-Russia relations.